Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session as a part of the Mental Health Awareness Week that we've prepared for you. Today, I'm very happy and excited to welcome our guest speaker, Anita Burgund Isakov. Welcome, Anita, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come to our platform and speak a little bit about today's topic. My name is Mina, and I'm a part of Mohenji Youth Club. I'm a Mohenji Youth Club global board member, and Anita is a social worker. And today we'll be speaking about trauma and PTSD, traumatic experiences that youth can experience, the youngsters can experience, and everything related to that from Anita's personal experience. I'll just briefly say about Anita. She is assistant professor at the Faculty of Political Science, Department of Social Work and Social Policy. And she's been volunteering her whole life. She started at the age of 15, and even before that, she was, as her mother volunteered or worked in similar institutions, she was helping her at a very young age, and she has plenty of experience with children from vulnerable groups, and she has a very special interest in working with kids or children without parental care and with children with traumatic experiences. So again, Anita, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you very much, Mina. You announced me in such a big deal that now I have to be smart now. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here, and I hope that I'll give explanations that could be useful to people dealing with traumatic experiences, because it's not easy sometimes to recognize that.
Yeah, so we've prepared a couple of questions for Anita, but we welcome her to share whatever else she might feel is valuable for today's youth. So the first question would be, what do you, or what would you say is a trauma or traumatic experience?
Yeah, nowadays we hear a lot about traumatic experiences and traumas in general, but usually we do not know, or we cannot make an easy distinction between trauma and stressful experiences. So every day we manage with the different levels of stress. So a lot of experiences could be stressful, even in a good way, but not every stressful experience is a traumatic experience. In order some stressful experience to become traumatic experience, it has to be a very, very strong experience or complex experience. So it could be one, for example, a big and shocking experience of abduction, surgery, violation, violence, different violent experiences that occur only once in a lifetime, or it could be several experiences of, we usually say, not doing when bearing children in mind has also very traumatic consequences on them. So when I say that, I usually think about neglecting children. So if children are neglected for a long period of time, it can create a traumatic experience for them. Repeatedly, if we have experience of repeated big stresses, then we have something called complex trauma experience. What could cause this complex traumatic experience is not only what has happened, or what important didn't happen for children, but also at what age, and how vulnerable a child was at the first place. What I want to say is that something will cause trauma, some happening can cause trauma in early age, even if the happening is not that horrible, even if the experience is not that horrible. But if it's happening on the very early age when there is no capacity of self-protection, then it becomes a traumatic experience. Also, if the person has already had traumatic experiences, then the next stressful experience can easily become traumatic. Of course, if person didn't develop any mechanism of dealing with traumatic experiences, this is also very important to know. If you're successful in dealing with stress, then it it's less probable that you will have traumatic experiences as well. So these all factors influence on us and on our ability to deal with traumatic experiences and of appearing such a thing as traumatic experience.
Thank you. And how would you say we can recognize trauma in us or in perhaps people around us?
Yeah, well, when trauma is happening, it's usually a very stressful thing that's threatening our life. So such a occurrence, such happening is causing the thing called is being frozen or freezing completely. That's a very important mechanism in traumatic experiences. It's actually protecting us from dying or from suffering. So our body is very smart. So when we face with a lot of danger, we do like animals. We behave very similar to animals. We froze in order that energy that comes. It's energy of being very awake, very irritated. So we accumulate a lot of energy, a strong amount of energy, and but if we have this instinct that we are not going to survive, then we froze completely in order not to feel pain. So usually people who had experiences of trauma, they describe it as not being painful because people dissociate from the experience in order to survive. They split and they go elsewhere. So it's like something is happening with your body, but you're not inside of your body in order to survive this very painful experience, such as mutilation, violence, sexual attack, and stuff like that. Also, you know that in war, people who suffered, who were being injured in war or being injured by animals, they usually in that moment didn't feel a lot of pain because of this mechanism of being frozen. So it is important to recognize that this is happening. But there is also one other thing. When trauma happens, people tend to browse also the experiences of trauma, especially if it's happening in early age with children. So they forget about this experience. It was very strong, it was very unpleasant, and children tend to ignore it, to suppress it, to forget it. But it cannot be done. You cannot forget it in a good way. So some other things and some other indicators of behavior start happening, such as difficulties with sleep, difficulties with eating. For example, emotional eating is one of the indicators of early trauma. What else could be aggression or towards other people, always feeling threatened of others people, changing empathy. Uh, People who had severe traumas or several traumas or complex traumas usually have this disbalance in showing empathy since they perceive everything as a danger. If you have only one symptom for a short time, it doesn't mean that you had a trauma. But if you had a lot of symptoms together for a longer period of time, it is possible that you have survived traumatic experiences. For example, people could have in every aspect of function, also in relationships, traumas show. So people cannot do not have faith in other people, cannot establish um, deep relationships, partnerships, cannot maintain sexual intercourses and stuff like that because they had a very strong trauma experiences. So the good, usually when people come to seek for some kind of healing or help, they are not aware of specific trauma that has happened to them. Sometimes they are, but usually they do not know if they come searching for a symptom. I have difficulties, I have migraine, I have difficulties with sleeping, I have difficulties with eating, anorexia, or emotional eating. So they come with a symptom, and then searching from that point to going from in regression into childhood, we can discover that there were some traumatic experiences behind it.
Mm. Yes, so even though you touched upon the topic already, what do you have anything to add about the um, like the specific consequences of traumas and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yeah, I want to explain what the post-traumatic stress disorder is because there is a lot of speaking about it. We usually hear it, I can hear it on everyday basis. I have PTSD, I have what really is PTSD. It is being exposed to traumatic experience. And as I said, people are liking the reaction after traumatic experience. So after some time, since there was a big amount of energy that never came out of the person. So I'll explain it to you. Imagine that a bear is coming to attack. So you see him, you perceive him, and you're getting very, very stressed. So you have your heartbeat beat accelerated. You feel the sweat of your palms. So you're preparing yourself for one of two things: fight or escape. So if you cannot use one of those two models, then you freeze, and then trauma is happening. The big amount of energy has never been released, and afterwards it comes to people's dreams. People have nightmares, or if they see on TV bear, they can reactivate this attack, or uh, they tend to avoid everything that can be association of what they survived. So firstly, they will avoid wild animals, bears. They will avoid watching movies um, with bears. They will avoid going to places where you can see bears. So it occupies more and more space in your life, and it limits people from not living freely. This is what in trauma is taking our life and the space in our life, and it limits behavior, but it always keeps with the person in person's mind. And also people who had severe trauma experience have typical look as their eyes wide open, like they always expect that attack is happening or is going to happen soon. So this is the state of being always hyper awake. We call it like that, hyper awake, and always being prepared to react upon traumatic experiences because everything is perceived as dangerous, potentially dangerous. So people are having, they can have stuff like panic attacks. So just in the middle of doing something, they become very irritated, have problems with breathing, have a feeling like they are going to have a heart attack, the room starts spinning, they feel like they are going to faint, and big scare is being activated. They become scared of their life and whether they are going to survive. So this is usually connected with some previous trauma that they didn't face at the time. So this is PTSD, and this is how we can recognize and trauma, and how can we know that we have consequences. Usually we know that we have experiences traumas only because of the consequences that we have in our life. Uh, so people usually seek help because of that. This is also important. Have several consequences that are keeping steady in your life. Always troubles with sleeping, with eating, with being scared in going to sleep, being scared of certain situation and certain people, and this hypersensitivity, always being awake and always waiting for something bad to happen, are usually signs of early trauma or big trauma experiences.
Yes. Yeah, that's such an important thing to mention, that we can sometimes even not be aware that we have been through these experiences.
Yes,
Suppression.
yes, suppression and ignoring trauma is a very it's happening very often within people. There is one dramatic example that I will give it to you. It's from the book, so it's not from anybody's life. So I read it, I think, a couple of days ago, and I said, yes, this is a very very painful experience, but also when you go into negation of something that has happened, then it's very difficult to overcome it. There was a woman who had been kidnapped and attacked. A man attacked her, and he didn't hurt her. He released her, but he brought her to his home. He tied her. He had a lot of objects, knives and stuff that could hurt her, and then he released her. So she had a very strong traumatic experiences, and she never asked for help for that matter. But after some time, she came because of problems with insomnia to therapist, and therapist saw her look that she was very awake, very scared, with eyes wide open, and he asked her whether she had experiences of trauma, and she said, no, no, I didn't experience any traumatic stuff or anything like that, never in my life. And then he started explaining what can trauma be, because he was sure that she actually had some experiences. And then she said, oh yeah, I was kidnapped like last year. And she explained the whole situation, but she said it was not that scary at all. It was okay. So negation of traumatic experience is actually happening because people cannot relive it. So they split from it, like it never happened to me. I don't want to think about it. But it's there, it's in their experience. And it's coming to
Back to the
them.
surface.
Yes, it's coming, it's always happening in different manners, and people cannot confront this experience. And this is also, when you cannot confront it, it's also how it helps trauma to proceed and to get stronger and stronger. If you don't treat trauma, if you had a traumatic experiences and you didn't know what happened, you didn't get help, and the time passes, you become more and more vulnerable for more traumatic experiences, and also your potentials are getting smaller. So your resources to fight are getting smaller and smaller, because you don't have any experiences of being successful in overcoming it. So this is very important thing to know because children are very dependent from their parents. So it's important to provide help immediately after some traumatic experiences is happening in order to make them resilient to situations that are coming in life. And sometimes if you don't treat trauma in early age, then you have a lot of behaviors that are bad and you suffer a lot, but you don't know where it's coming from. It doesn't have to do anything anymore with the trauma because it's all over the place. It bothers you in every segment of your life because it was growing through your life as a person grew. So that's why it's important to this early trauma treating as they happening.
And there's so many now we see so many methods and tools on how to overcome or how to heal trauma, and we have many, I mean, institutions and many ways. Even before this interview, you mentioned a few of them. And what from your experience, what do you recommend, or what seems to work the best from your experience?
Yeah, there is a lot of therapies that are meant to treat trauma. And I can tell you that there is not such a thing as a bad therapy. It's only the approach that is best for the person, as also as with the therapist. Not every therapist is for every person. So we tend to pick people and way of healing that is um, in coordinates with our own truth. So, but I will tell you few things that are in common with a lot of approaches. One of the things we are doing it right now is psychoeducation. What I want to tell you is that it is important to speak and to give information about the way trauma is happening and what is the mechanism of trauma and how it's being sustained in people experience. This is the first thing that we are doing in order to recognize traumatic experiences at the first place. So the other thing that's being done through the treatment is imaginary exposing. What it means? It means that every treatment will use this way of exposing people to traumatic experiences again, or relive the traumatic experiences again, but from the safe place. So why is this so important? This is important to be done very carefully, not to create another trauma, but to dissolve the energy that's been accumulated within the person experience in order to maintain the healing process and the stability in the body. There are a lot of therapies that are very focused on body because our body remembers trauma. You froze some parts of your body in order to survive. So there are therapies that are focused more in cognitive, like cognitive behavior therapy. There are also therapists who are focusing. We have all this knowledge because of not only what people tried in healing, but also what medicine have brought us from knowing of cortex, of brain, of animal behavior. A lot of experiments showed us what we can do in how we process these traumatic experiences. So one also of the thing is to recreate the memory of traumatic experiences because usually people remember trauma in a segments of what was happening and they have difficulties to bring the big picture, so they have like only horrible scenes of what was happening. So creating a narrative, a story of what actually happened usually help them to normalize the situation and to create a space of accepting what has happened, what has already happened to them. The other stuff is this experience, emotional experience that is very strong and attached to trauma. And this dealing with the strong experiences is very important in order to integrate the traumatic experience. Also, something that is in the beginning of treating a trauma or in the beginning of healing is being aware of what is happening inside of you and being in contact with you. And it is very important to practice this on everyday basis. So I used to say, when we are children, we get so many information about our physical health, how you clean your hands, clean your face. You do it every day, but you don't get. I mean, in our culture, we don't get many information about our mental health. So mental hygiene is something that people do not teach their children. And it is very important also to do that from early age, to getting in touch with yourself. So it could be done as a very short practice. Children, we think about children as they cannot concentrate for a long period of time. They don't need to concentrate for 2 hours. They don't need to go into a meditation state of 2 hours, of course. But they can start of 10 minutes going into their body and feeling grounded. Uh, so when you feel grounded and aware about what is happening in your body and how you actually feel, then you're beginning the healing experiences already, and you're getting aware of what is happening. And if you have some obstacles, and then you can ask for help, because it's completely opposite of traumatic unawareness of yourself, parts of your body, and your experiences. So very important is this everyday practice of mental health for children and for people, for everyone. If you have these 10 to 15 minutes every day to close your eyes and just focus on or on your breathing, and if your minds are starting floating and going on somewhere else, it doesn't matter. Just focus on your breathing and observe, as Mohanji says, observe your mind, and then it will pass, and you can focus on yourself and be whole again. So this is the beginning of the healing process.
Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that. And what because youngsters will be some youngsters will probably be watching this interview. So what would be your message for the youth today? We see so many this new age is all about gadgets and mobile phones, and so what would be your advice or message to today's youth?
Yeah, with all these information technology, which is helping us in so many ways, it's important to be aware that we are the one in control of the technology and not vice versa. And children cannot be aware of that. So there is a lot of it's also, we can say it's a pressure, because parents need to know what their children are doing and how to put them in an information world, the world of information technology, in a safe way. Because in that world, they are being attacked with many things that could be potentially traumatic. If you're exposed to long sessions of watching violence, it's creating a trauma, because they cannot make this distinctive difference of what is happening to them or to other people. So it's important to get the proper information and to treat children also as active participants of this society. What bothers me usually that that we treat children as someone who is less less human, small human, someone who cannot understand. But then you give that little human something that he doesn't understand, he or she doesn't understand. So it's important to make this participation in our world in a careful way and to give a lot of information what is happening and to observe your child because also we are examples. What we are doing, our children are going to copy. There is a saying that child does not learn from what you say, but from what he sees that you are doing. So if you want to your child to be safe and sound, then watch your own behavior and be there. Usually, when people are coming to advices, they say, "Tell me what to do to prevent this behavior or what to do to treat this behavior with my child." And usually, what the hardest thing is just being there for your child, not having the concept of what you should do or how he or she should behave or what he or she should do, but be there, help them to become what they should become in their own way, and just follow them, give them your example. And if you see that the child is having issues with sleeping, with eating, then you should talk with the child or talk with the people who are taking care of the child. If the child is going to daycare or to school, you have to check it and do not ignore, because being present uh, within yourself and for your children is a very good prevention of sustaining any traumatic experiences. We cannot control what is going to happen to us. Obviously, we do not know what tomorrow is carrying. But if we take care of ourselves properly, then everything that is happening to us and everything that can happen, even if it is very traumatic, we will be equipped to deal with it. It will not be bigger than us. That is my message.
Yeah. And what about young people like from 16 to 20 years old who are already individuals and who don't have, on whom parents don't have much influence? What would be your message today for them if they feel they're going through traumatic experiences or they've been through traumatic experiences?
Well, it's important to have a person of trust. It can be parent, it can be someone from family, it can be, I don't know, some practitioner, a therapist, it doesn't matter. But it's important that a person has some person of trust with whom he or she can speak with and just go through what is happening at the moment and ask for professional help because if we are facing with some symptoms of trauma, as I mentioned, we can do everything right, but still we cannot self-heal. We need some support and help with professionals that could come from very different practice, but it's important that they know what they are doing. And it's important to ask for help when you see that something is not going good for you. If you're facing with some obstacles in continuum, more than a couple of days, it's been happening and growing, and it has impact on your life, then you need to ask for help. So you can ask for help also from the person that is person of trust, and then that person can help you to find someone who is specialized in treating trauma.
Yes.
But it's important to communicate about it.
Yeah, not to be shy and
Yeah,
take
but
care
the
of
first
your.
thing is to be aware. If you're aware, you can ask for help. If you're not aware, then you cannot do anything, and it's sticking to you. That's why it's important that people come in constant contact with themselves and to reflect what is happening in the body in order to know when to ask for help.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anita. This is all from our questions for today. Is there anything else you would like to add to this?
Thank you, Mina. I could speak about it for hours, I think, but I'm here. So if there is some questions or some dilemmas, I would, in some time in the future, I would also be happy to give answers
Okay.
if I know them.
Okay, so we inspire anybody who is watching to leave the comments below, and we'll make sure Anita, if she knows the answer, responds to them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita, so much for joining us today, and thank you to everybody who is watching. And please continue to follow our content on Mohinji Youth Club official Facebook page and Instagram, and let's spread awareness about this very important topic together, and help ourselves and help the society around us to grow to their highest potential. Thank you, Anita, again so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.